everyone, and welcome to the debut of the Chit Chat Show. I'm Karen Craig, one of your panelists, and there are also two other panelists with me today, Layla Robinson and Carol Washington. The Chit Chat Show was created for Christian women to have a forum to chat about a variety of topics from a Christian point of view. While our show is airing, we want you to participate in the Chit Chat by commenting on our Facebook page, The Chit Chat Show. Today we're going to chat about sexual harassment and the Me Too movement. Okay, ladies, let's chit chat.
Let's dig in.
All right. Okay, so before you did your research for this show, how would you define sexual harassment?
I would define it basically as like just not consenting to any like sexual advancements or such like that. What about you?
I'd agree, and I'd agree it would go verbally as well as physical. You know, sometimes someone lays a hand on your shoulder while they're speaking. They don't know if it offends you unless you say
exactly.
it. You know what I mean? And I think particularly in the HR world, when you say stop, if they don't stop, that's the moment it becomes, harassment for an employer. So.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you guys an official definition. Sexual harassment describes a range of actions that involve the harassment of a person due to their sex. Action may include unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, verbal or physical harassment of a sexual nature, or the creation of a hostile working environment. It's been reported in different surveys by Cosmopolitan Magazine, NBC News, Wall Street Journal, that 54% of American women report receiving unwanted and inappropriate sexual advances, with 95% saying that such behavior usually goes unpunished. 1 in 3 women ages 18 to 34 have been sexually harassed at work. 71% of those women said they did not report it, and nearly half of working women in the U.S. say that they have experienced some type of harassment in the workplace. So my question is, have you or someone you ever known experienced sexual harassment?
So me personally, I've never actually experienced like sexual harassment, but I've definitely experienced like what's the word, catcalling, like like the street calling, and they like to talk to you and stuff like that, which
typical
is
construction.
Yeah, exactly. It's very uncomfortable, but I do know of some people who have experienced, especially on college campuses and stuff like that, and they definitely don't want to talk about it. They don't want to be outed or embarrassed, and usually, in most cases, the person who provided the sexual harassment don't, like the statistics said, there's no repercussion or anything for that. So
I think it's not even an age or generation thing. I think it's a personal thing that happens to you. If I see a magazine in the workplace and it's totally inappropriate, I'll say something.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? And I'll say a lot of things just because I'm not well, I am overprotective, but I'm outspoken as well in that the whole right from wrong, as a parent, you pray for your kid every day to have great experiences. So when someone calls me honey or baby, and they're just simply saying good morning with a cup of coffee, that's unnecessary because it's Carol. Hey,
Exactly.
Not
my name.
baby, honey.
Right.
So, and I've definitely known people that have experienced it and have been in HR, and they come to you as a trusted venue, and I ask them 2 questions. Do you want me to resolve it, or am I just listening? Because then it could just go a million different ways. And I think the person experiencing it knows it, so sometimes that's why it goes unreported, because they're just afraid of whatever. I might lose my job, I'll be that girl, So.
Yeah, unfortunately with people who are called like whistleblowers, they tend to end up losing their job, and even though people may applaud them for standing up and speaking out, they sometimes end up losing their job on the other end anyway. I know for me personally, I don't necessarily recall any overt harassment, but it is sometimes the way people talk to you or say comments to you that is totally inappropriate. And it always makes me think of a joke that Chris Rock told, and he was like, when is sexual harassment? Sexual harassment. He was like, well, if the woman's not interested, then it's sexual harassment. And I thought about it. I said, I can understand this point. Because if you're interested in the guy, and he's like, hey, how you doing? You're like, oh, okay, tee-hee-hee, right? But if you don't like him or you're not attracted to him, you're like, what you talking about? Talk to me. Get away from me. You're weird. So I understand his point. So it's all in your perspective, I think. And that's where it's hard to really determine when it's the small things, if it's harassment or if it's just flirting, which we'll talk about later. But where do you draw the line?
And that's the part I think that where it's not generational. It's a stance. You know, as a woman, we are embedded with information that tells us we're less than in just certain categories. Oh, you'll never play professional basketball, and then we have a WNBA now. Or you'll never be the CEO of whatever. Countless African American females, Hispanic, and women, period, have, you know, broken those glass ceilings. But the one thing that will always be a thing is harassment. You know, that how did she get there? Is, you know, how did she sleep her way to the top? There's all these assumptions sometimes that I don't think, if you're thinking clearly, you could be her. Right. And, you know, what would you think if people were talking about you, you know, in that manner? So I think some of the hesitation comes because of that what if. You know, you want the power, but it comes with a big price.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to begin our chat about the Me Too movement, and we will be right back after these important messages.
Join Karen, Layla, and Carol and all their friends. We are looking for a special group of people who are willing to become friends of the show. Your dedicated monthly support will enable the Chit Chat ladies to reach a worldwide audience. You can become a friend today by making a monthly pledge of $25 or more, and you will receive our friend package. That includes a t-shirt, tote bag, and mug. Just go to our website and donate today. We thank you in advance for becoming a friend of the Chit Chat Show. And don't forget to keep the chit in the chat. Here are the top 10 reasons why people don't go to church. Number 10. The pastor doesn't respond to my remote control. Number 9. 3 letters. NFL. Number 8. I don't have kids yet. Number 7. I have kids. Number 6. People that are happy give me the creeps. Number 5. Last time I kneeled, I had a hard time getting up again. Number 4. I'm a good person, and I want to avoid hearing otherwise. Number 3. Prefer Doritos to those little crackers they pass out. Number 2. When I want to feel guilty, I just call my mother. And the number 1 reason people don't go to church is because they haven't tried New Vision Community Church yet. Put down the remote and forget the excuses. People around town are discovering that church can be different. At New Vision Community Church, you'll find a casual atmosphere, great music, relevant messages, and friendly people who genuinely care about each other. Stop in this Sunday at 11 a.m. and leave the top 10 to late night.
Welcome back to the Chit Chat Show. I'm Karen Craig, and I'm here with my fellow Chit Chatters, Layla Robinson and Carol Washington. Let's get back to chit chatting. All right, so what did you know about the Me Too movement before we started planning for this show?
Honestly, like I heard about it, but I was never familiar of like what it meant, what was it about, you know, what the hashtag was. Like I never really knew anything about it. What about you?
Me either.
Yeah.
Honestly, I get social media overload. I just take a break. You know, I tell people, I say hashtag social media diet, and I won't sign in. You know, and I'll use the television as a background if I'm getting ready for work or cooking. I was going to laugh at that cooking thing. I heard it, but I just thought it was another Hollywood thing. Somebody accusing somebody, and you know, and I think, and that could be a whole different show if I brought up, you know, the Bill Cosby thing. But I just thought it was another Hollywood thing.
Right.
That's it. And I kind of chalked it in my mind as you don't need to pay attention to that. And then it became a thing.
Yeah, it became
so
a
it was
movement.
all in your face, right?
Yeah.
T-shirts and you know, protests, and it came to Pittsburgh, and so that's when it kind of hit home for me, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I had knew about it only because I do watch the news a lot, and of course with the Harvey Weinstein was the big one, and then with the whole hashtag, you know, Me Too movement, I was like, okay, so then I kept seeing this black lady that wasn't a celebrity kind of in the mix, and I was like, well, who that? Where'd she come from? And I think you had some information on that you wanted to share.
So it popped up, and I don't want to mispronounce her name, so forgive me, Miss Burke. Her first name is Tarena, and she herself had written a blog, I believe, about it, about the topic itself. She looked up one day, and she had 500 followers on her Twitter account. And it was so amazing. So I called Elder Karen, and we just had a discussion. Like, did you know? And she's like, yeah, I think you did, because she had known more than I did about the movement. But I was totally surprised. So, you know, there's got to be more information. So when I choose to, you know, dive into social media, I found a whole picture and a whole segment. She's on a red carpet. She got to introduce Leslie, someone brought her to the Emmy Awards or something, and she was the only black woman amongst 9 females. There was a Hispanic, and I'm like, wow. She said, I stood up like a sore thumb for so many reasons, and they didn't even know it was me that started it. So it went from the wearing black to that one award show where they wore red, or you know, it was a thing.
Right.
And but I think Hollywood exploits ideas and social media topics so much that it gets tainted and the word gets confusing. The message that was supposed to be.
Right. Yeah, I know when I first seen the hashtag Me Too, it was attributed to Alyssa Milano.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I found.
And so you know, I was like, oh, okay, that was cute. She came up with a little tag. Come to find out, she wasn't the one that coined the phrase Me Too. It was Tarena, or however you say her name, Miss Burke. It was her who actually did it. And I said, once again, we have Caucasians taking credit for something that was started by a woman of color. And she did admit that she, when she found out that she wasn't the one that started the Me Too phrase, and she gave her credit, but it was after the fact, after people kind of got on her case about it.
And all of a sudden she got a ticket to the red carpet.
Yeah, so, you know, we just need to make sure that we get confidence. And I liked her story, how she even says she coined the phrase because she was unable to respond to a 13-year-old girl who had confided to her that she had been sexually assaulted. And she said she later wished that she would have just said, me too. And that's where it came from. Because so many women keep silent about it, you know, especially being molested or, you know, or harassed at work, because you think you're all by yourself. And you don't realize that there are so many other women, because if it's happening to you on your job, you know, at school, it's happening to other women or young girls too. And if you just speak up and expose it, You
Right.
know, put the light on it. You know, it's like with roaches. They got to scatter. But you got to expose it to the light. You know,
exactly.
be the truth, because the devil uses darkness. And you hold that in and you hide that. So, you know, by her, if she just said she would have spoke up, and now I think that's how that movement became so much bigger, because people began to like, hey, wait a minute, this happened to me too. Yeah, this happened to me too. You know, I'm not alone. Wait a minute, we need to do something about this, and that's how that whole thing kind of got started. But I did think it was more so a Hollywood thing, because all you did was see was, you know, the celebrity women. And it's like, well, what about the average woman on her job, you know, that works in a predominantly male-dominated place, you know, like in the shipping department,
Right.
you know, or in the warehouse, and you're the only female. Yeah, you're the only female, and you're getting harassed daily by your coworkers, your boss, you know, asking for favors so that you can keep your job and things like that. Where do they fit in this hashtag Me Too movement? So to me, it just seemed more like a Hollywood thing. You know, for them to complain about their, you know, jobs and atmosphere more so than just the regular woman, to me.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I definitely know that the intent, when I did my research on her, that the purpose was to encourage and empower women. And I read she wanted to encourage and empower women through empathy, especially young and vulnerable women. And I think after it kind of got bounced around and it's well known now. Now I kind of think it's more of the Hollywood thing. People just want to get their name out. Oh, I'm a part of this hashtag. Oh, I'm trying to do something great. Like, and it's just like, well, what about the people who are actually affected? What about the young girls, the young 13-year-old girl who didn't really have a voice and didn't know what to do? So, yeah.
And I agree with you both. And I think Hollywood has a platform that you can use for good or evil, right? I go back to superheroes all the time. There's a reason you're given this God-given platform or podium to speak upon. So when you do it, be purposeful, be a teacher of it. You know, Elder and I spoke before the show, and I told her I wrote something in my head that if you use the pain to hurt others and wield it as a weapon, it becomes a weapon of mass destruction. So, and that was just some random thought I had.
That's it. I said, wow.
Epiphany.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because then when it fizzles away, doesn't mean it's not still happening. I just don't, me, the average person, think to myself, I just don't have I got a big mouth, but I don't have a big forum to say it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm proud of us to come together, and it's difficult, I believe, Black women in particular, to be on the same page about a movement or about, we come from different backgrounds even though we come from the same ethnicity. So having this conversation is just healthy. And I think hopefully it teaches or allows a young woman to be able to get her own voice one day and go to someone that she trusts, because it's just wrong.
Yeah, definitely it's just wrong. Yeah. Okay, who surprised you as alleged perpetrators? And I'm going to read off some names, and then afterwards you can kind of tell me maybe who surprised you. I know I have somebody in mind. I think you have somebody in mind. But first is Harvey and Bob Weinstein, Bill Cosby, Woody Allen, Kevin Spacey, Tavis Smiley, Matt Lauer, Charlie Rose, R. Kelly, Ben Affleck, Scott Baio, Mario Batali, David Blaine, Nick Carter, David Copperfield, Andy Dick, Michael Douglas, Dustin Hoffman, Richard Dreyfuss, James Franco, Benny Medina, Nelly, Jeremy Piven, Brett Ratner, Morgan Freeman, Steven Seagal, Gene Simmons, Russell Simmons, Bryan Singer, Sylvester Stallone, Tom Sizemore, Jeffrey Tabor, Ryan Seacrest, Ben Vereen, and so many more. Alleged, I have to make sure I say that, alleged persecutors, or people who were actually harassing women. They've all been accused. So who surprised you the most, maybe out of that list, or just somebody you may have heard of in your own research?
I guess you just read that list? Morgan Freeman?
Yeah.
When was this?
Yeah.
Recently, allegedly.
Yeah.
Make sure because we're gonna have a lawsuit.
Start disclaimer.
Allegedly.
We're reading.
I don't know. Supposedly years ago, he was married and they had a granddaughter. It wasn't his biologically, but they raised her as his granddaughter. But when she turned 18, they started dating. But he used to always take her on his trips, when she was younger.
On set.
Yeah. So, you can infer what you want. And then I think recently just some other actresses were saying that, he, had some inappropriate contact or comments and things like that. So I added him, because this was right after we started planning for the show. I was like, I gotta add him now. So,
Wow,
Yeah.
that's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really sad. I thought that's sad, and I also thought Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
Like, it's just his
I know.
whole legacy. That's just really
That's the
just.
only
Yeah.
thing you're gonna remember.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
It's terrible.
and I'm
Some
like looking him up.
scholarships.
I was looking him up, like just doing research on different people, and it's just like that's a part of his name now. Like it's like, oh, comedian, this, that, activist. Now,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's just so sad to me.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
sad.
Because he was always one of my favorite comedians because he was clean.
Yeah.
He didn't have
Yes,
to curse
exactly.
to make his
Or
point.
so we thought.
Yeah, but we didn't know. So you never know what goes on behind closed doors.
Exactly.
Where the
So
cameras are off, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
And again, you grow up with kind of household heroes, my dad used to call them, that you don't know, but you just see it on TV, so you think that's what life is supposed to be like. Until you're one of those people, And I guess to be fair, you have to look at it from both ends of the
oh
spectrum.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way a granddaughter could be consenting. I mean, any female under the age of 18, quite frankly, doesn't even know where she's doing work, let alone what's appropriate or not. Shocker for me, I was a really huge fan of the Today Show. Not an hour. I'm at the gym, and I'm riding the bike, and it just took the wind out of my sail, and I was just like, what in the world? And a lot of people were just like, right at that moment, because when, was it Savannah?
Yes,
Yeah.
She had to say it, and she just found out 2 seconds ago. And her lips quivering and eyes just, and she's like, we just got a commercial. Because she couldn't believe it. So then that story got real dark and demented.
Yes, it did.
And I guess when you have money, you can go hide somewhere.
Literally.
And wow, well, it must be nice because Bill, with all the money he had, couldn't hide.
Couldn't have for nothing.
Ryan Seacrest kind of didn't know what team he was on.
Well, see, that was the thing.
Distinctly.
I always just thought that he was gay and his girlfriend
There
was a
she
beard.
just said, "Let's go ahead and
Seriously,
say."
I did. I just thought she was a beard. So when they were saying harassment, I was like, oh, is it going to be men?
It's a guy, yeah.
And it was other females. I was like, really?
And some you're like,
Yeah,
like
right.
R. Kelly. Used to be a fan.
I can't even listen to his
can't
music.
Even know.
I don't. I
No,
refuse.
I literally,
refuse.
and we can say that openly. It's
Yeah.
a fact now.
Yeah.
Kind of burned the
Yeah.
CD.
No, there's still people like,
Yeah, go to his concerts and
Wow.
everything.
I look like your truck, or what was that, Jeep, or what was that song?
Yeah.
I look like your Jeep, or
Yeah.
whatever. They're still,
I know.
and stepping, because he got them step songs, they love to do the step
Yeah.
stuff. See? I believe I can fly still.
Yeah.
And what is that one line he had? I usually don't do this, but okay, time to put a whole new scenery
What are
in
you
my
actually
head.
talking about?
We don't
And
know.
music is so deep,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Music, comedy, the things that we're talking about. Literally, comedians, Richard Pryor, had his moments where he did kid movies. Eddie Murphy, kid movies. They have totally human lives going on
Right.
behind the scenes
Right.
that are quite interesting. Speaking of Eddie,
Yeah, and I think that's the problem with people have what you see on the TV or a TV show. You want to make that's who they are
Yes.
in real life. I mean, because everybody loved Bill Cosby. He was everybody's dad.
Literally.
Yeah.
So,
That was the TV
that was the
family.
ultimate TV family. So it's like, how can you do this? It's like, how can you do this, Dad?
Yeah.
You're my dad. How can you do this?
And you know what? And we could segue. That could be a whole nother show.
I know.
Yeah.
Because people look at pastors and pastors' wives as they're just supposed to be a certain way. They're supposed to fit. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I tell people all the
Not supposed
time, please do not put me on a pedestal
I know.
because I will disappoint you every time. Because depending on what day it is and what mood I'm in,
Get you on the
you'll be
right.
like, what? You saved? You a Christian? You sure? So, I mean, you know, don't catch both of us on a bad day. You in trouble.
And I think that goes as far as just Christian people in general. I think people just put us on the pedestal all the time. Like, oh, you can't make a mistake. You can't sin. Like,
I see your
we're all
Jesus tattoo.
like, we're all
Okay,
humans.
yeah.
We all have a life. Like,
Yes.
we ask for forgiveness like everyone else.
We tell
And
dirty jokes from time
Yeah.
to time. We heard it too.
Oh, you do now?
We'll have that conversation.
Really?
Yeah.
Next time.
Well, I know for me, who surprised me the most, because I used to watch the Today Show.
Okay.
But then I started watching CBS Morning because they had more news. Unlike Good Morning America and the Today Show, it was like a lot of entertainment news before. I'm like, say that for 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
So they were doing more news, and I respected Charlie Rose. He was well respected. You know, he had his little one-man show. He had your guests at just a wooden table like we have, and they just sit one-on-one and talk. And he was very well respected, won all kind of awards. So when they said him, I was like, oh, really?
No, it got real.
And once again, it was uncomfortable for his gal and for Nora to talk about it. It was very uncomfortable for them. But one thing I remember, and it stuck with me for some reason, before it came out that he was, you know, an alleged perpetrator, Gail and Charlie were big fans of Breaking Bad, the show. And she went over his house for the series finale. That was the last show ever. Because they would talk about it every time it would come on. You know, they talk about it a little bit in the morning. And so she was over there. She even like took selfies and posted pictures. But I remember she got a call from her best friend Oprah. And Oprah was like, girl, you okay? And I said, why would she ask her that? It just was weird to me. And she was just talking about her time over at Charlie's watching the show. But that just stuck with me. I was like, why would she ask her that? That's weird. Like,
Very
okay.
odd.
Yeah.
And then like months later, it comes out.
that.
And I said, oh, maybe that's why. And so I think the biggest thing, a lot of people knew about these people, but they wouldn't say anything. Like Harvey Weinstein, ain't no way you can tell me that you did not know who he was and how he was.
Right.
And there's always been the casting couch in Hollywood.
Right.
Always.
Right.
I mean, that has been going on forever.
Forever.
So I don't believe when women say, well, I didn't know. And, you know, well, wait a minute. If he's inviting you up to your room, up to his hotel room, I understand, you know, he has a suite, he has a lot of money. So he has a living room area, and you can talk. But if he comes out in a towel or a bathrobe to have a meeting,
exactly.
it's time for you to leave. Or if he's like, oh, give me a massage. Everybody knows what that code is, massage. And for your younger people, it's Netflix and chill.
There you go.
Okay? So, you know,
Let's break it down.
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody know the code word. Like, oh, you know, give me a massage.
Right.
We know what you want without asking. So don't put yourself, it's time for you to leave. Don't say, because even the young lady, Lapita, she had said, because she was a Me Too victim from him, and she said that, I think that was at their house, his kids were downstairs. And, you know, they met upstairs, and he asked for a massage. And she felt uncomfortable. She started rubbing his shoulder. No. But I think a lot of the women knew, because just about every woman that was in his movies, they won Oscars.
Wow.
What?
I'm just saying.
We just chit chat.
We just chit chat. So she won an Oscar. I can't think of the. There's a lot of different actors. If you check out, if they were in Weinstein's movies, a lot of them, they were either nominated or they won. So I can't believe that you didn't know what was going on. Now I think Ashley Judd, I think hers was legit, because I remember she had made that movie, because she was really starting to blow up. She had made that movie with Morgan Freeman, you know, Along Came a Spider or something. And she was starting to make all these movies, and all of a sudden she was just not in anything. Well, he had blacklisted her, said she was difficult to work with. And I could see that because she was just missing in action. Mira Sorvino, that's who I was thinking of. She had did one of his movies. He molested or, tried to with her. And she had won her Oscar. And then she just disappeared. She started making like C movies, not even B movies, C movies.
Yeah, they weren't even movies.
She got blacklisted. So there are some, but then there are others that kept working with them.
Yeah, exactly.
They kept, they knew. You can't tell me that kind of stuff gets around.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're like, no, it may have happened to you and that's terrible, but you kind of knew when you were going over there, you had heard about it. So why are you going to put yourself in that situation? Don't put yourself in a dangerous situation like that.
And there's two things that come out of that. Like if you are an older actress and you've gone to the couch before me, why wouldn't you pull my coat and say, "Little girl, that's not a good idea.
Exactly.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
No matter how many, so you can have 1,000,000 Grammys, and one scar of a bad sexual encounter, it could go deep.
Yep.
It can go deep, and
could ruin your
again,
life.
move you off the grid. Where she go? What she doing? For me, who cares? Because I don't want to be that important.
Right.
That I'm on your mind in the morning. Sometimes that price that comes with that that's the second point. It's too much to pay.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's nice, shiny things to look at and trophies, but the scar is worse than the tattoo.
It's not worth it in the end because you have to look at yourself. You have to live with yourself, and you don't want to compromise who you are for fame. But a lot of people do. Unfortunately, a lot of people do. All right. So, what about the Time's Up movement? Had you ever heard about that and what it was all about?
That I am not so familiar with.
Okay.
Me either.
And we gotta do some research. Elizabeth, what you found?
Well, I had found it because I wasn't sure, so I was like, okay, because it came out of the Me Too movement, and I didn't understand what it was about. But the Time's Up movement is against sexual harassment, and it was founded on January 1st of this year by Hollywood celebrities in response to the Weinstein effect and the hashtag Me Too. And as of February 2018, it has raised over $20 million for its legal defense fund and gathered over 200 volunteer lawyers. And it's an initiative that aims to help fight sexual violence and harassment in the workplace through lobbying and providing funding for victims to get legal help if they can't afford it. So out of the hashtag Me Too came hashtag Time's Up, which a lot of those actresses started so that people who can't afford lawyers, they can do it. So they have volunteer lawyers that will get paid out of the fund, but it won't cost the victim anything, which I thought was good because there are so many women, because I said, you guys can afford the high-priced lawyers. Right. What about me? I work at the factory, and I got a boss that's keep asking me for sexual favors, or I can't keep my job. I got 3 kids. I'm a single parent. How am I going to afford a lawyer, to go through the process? But now they have this, so that's what Time's Up was kind of all about.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Do you guys think this is a Hollywood thing? Like just in the spotlight, I guess? I don't know. Like I think the intention is good. I don't know. Like why not promote the Me Too movement even more? Like why make your whole other thing? Like I really like the thought of helping women with lawyers, who can't afford it. But it's just like, are you really intentional with trying to help these women, or are you just, well, once again, this is my name. I'm trying to be out there. This is Hollywood. Just trying to make a name. Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, but are you really intentional?
I hate to believe that. I really would. And it's so ironic that 2 of us out of the 3 were not aware of how powerful that movement was, right? That's where my aha moment's coming in for a minute. And it's going to cause me to read a lot. Because I loved a good ending to a horrific story. But is it a Hollywood thing? Okay, so we all know, and I'm just assume this, we all know one person that has been probably touched inappropriately, spoken to inappropriately, or whatever, experienced some kind of harassment. Maybe not as deep as molestation, or maybe. How does the journey segue? Like right now in Hollywood, it segued to another whole movement. Does that mean Me Too goes away?
And
right.
yeah,
So I'm kind of like rephrasing
exactly.
it in my head. What about all the victims that did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, it seems like the Me Too movement was more so for the Hollywood starlets to me,
Okay.
complaining about their industry. The Time's Up movement that came out of that, I think, is just for the regular women or men, because men get harassed at work too, that need help with, and they put up a lot of their own money. These women, they put up a lot of their own money to get this fund up to, $20 million. They made donations, and they still are. But I think, we don't know yet because it just started, this year. So we got to see the results if they really are helping women. So it'll be interesting to see, like maybe a few months down the road, if women are really getting the help that they need, or was this all just a front?
And can we find out what happened to the 13-year-old girl?
Yeah, well, I guess we could maybe try to do some deeper research
I want
on
to really
that.
know how that ended.
Yeah.
Because she didn't even know she started. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Okay. So now I do have another question what about suppressed memories, false accusations, and backlash from the #MeToo movement?
Okay, suppressed memories I have experience with, both personal and professionally. I chose to do something, so this is a personal testimony. I chose to seek good advice from the elders that were around me and my family. Some people don't have anyone to run to. If you have a single mother and there's 3 other kids, and one of those other kids in the house are the molester, who do you tell? And you're in a strange city where you don't have that support. Or I, dealt with Child Protective Services, where that's where you meet the family. The moment that the gym teacher says, this isn't right. She shouldn't be sitting out every gym class. She can't be that, or never swim. So those horrific. But what bothers me is, again, I never got to see how it ended, right? So when I agreed to do the show, and Elder Karen and I talked about what the first thing was, it wasn't because that was the thing to talk about. It bothered me that, so many voices go unheard. What are the resources? Maybe our next show we could even flash up some resources or look them up for people to go to. Sometimes people aren't comfortable with family members. If they have a large or small family, they need to know there's, from a Christian perspective, spiritually there's somewhere to go. And we're a very close-knit small church. We hug, but we'll ask someone, are you comfortable with that? Because if not, hey, welcome, brother. Come on in. But we're naturally, a welcoming church, but we both have to be conscious of people all people aren't so, touchy, feely.
Yeah, so that's true. What about you? With suppressed memories, false accusations, backlash?
I guess with false accusations, me personally, if it's literally a false accusation, I think there should be some consequence. I think that's the worst thing you can do is falsely accuse someone, and then that can literally ruin their whole life, their careers, their families, and then that's it. Then even though they didn't do the act, they'll be labeled as that for the rest of their life. Look them up. That's the first thing that pops up. So I definitely take that serious. I think that's terrible, really terrible.
It is.
And honestly, being a mom of an only son, that is probably one of my biggest fears, is that he would have been mistaken for someone else.
Exactly.
The Trayvon disaster, horrific. Right. Every black kid looked alike to me at that moment, because you fear for them. I don't want to be afraid every time you take the car. Boy's 19 years old. He goes to college far away. I can't just, but to know, I think black men go through enough struggle right now. I pray that the women that have come forward are doing it because they're trying to heal themselves. It actually happened, and they just don't want to be on a witch hunt for that one coach.
Exactly.
Right? Because some of these stories, it's like, wow, because, okay, but sometimes it does take someone else stepping up to give you courage, to give you a voice to say, okay, yep, I'm not afraid anymore because I'm not standing in the room all by myself. It's the first person that goes through the door that you're like, oh, good luck with that, 'cause you know. But, I mean, you can't just say poor men sometimes. Because, you know, we're living through a lot of things ourselves.
Exactly.
But that's the worst, when it's a lie.
But there are so many, especially black men, who are sitting in jail right now.
Falsely accused.
Falsely accused, especially if it was a white woman. Or because, you know, he didn't call you a cab after you had your one-night stand, so you're going to say he raped you.
Okay, and Mike Tyson? Yeah. That little girl, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I didn't believe it. I did not believe that, because I said,
2 o'clock.
you knew what that was about. When he called you up, you knew what that was about. And I think because he just told her, like, okay, get out and roll over.
He didn't want to watch Netflix.
Go ahead, you know, bye, thank you. And it was like, hold up, I thought I was going to be like Miss Tyson.
Right. And let's keep it real. So, I know this is kind of awkward to segue to, but speaking of mishaps of celebrities or whatever, when Kobe, the hotel maid or whatever happened, and I said, well, maybe it was bad sex. What, I mean, and she just, I'm sorry, because that can happen.
It does happen.
But the wife got the $4 million ring, and that's how that story ended, or did it end? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
People stop talking about it. That doesn't mean it's.
Yeah, but I think he's definitely redeemed his reputation. He's an Oscar winner now, and you know, he's beloved again. So he has definitely repaired his.
Everybody loves a comeback.
Everybody loves a comeback, and he has, you know, repaired. But I know a lot of people with the hashtag Me Too movement have been complaining that it has an undefined purpose. That it just seems that everybody is just making accusations, and they're causing, you know, people to focus on the abuser versus the victim. So who is it this time? Oh, it's Bill Cosby. Oh, it's Brian Seacrest. You know, they start focusing on the person who is the perpetrator, allegedly, versus the person who is actually victimized. And then another problem I had with it was the fact checking, because I know when Tavis Smiley got accused, he came out vehemently denied it and said, no, this did not happen. And in the meantime, he lost his job at PBS. You know, they canceled his show. And he was like, no, I'm fighting for this. And it kind of went away, because once he put it out there that, no, he did not do this, he went on all the talk shows, and he was like, no. It kind of died down. And it's like, just because a woman says it happens doesn't mean that it actually happened. I think you really have to check out the facts before you just say, oh, they're a terrible person and they lose their job and everything. Because once again, like I said, so many men have been falsely accused of something that they didn't do. Like you said, reputation is gone. They can't get their job, because there's always going to be somebody that believes it, no matter what.
Exactly.
Even though you could have video evidence that it didn't happen, there's still going to be that one person that said, no, they did it. They did it. And then another complaint is the lack of representation of women of color. Because if you look at the hashtag Me Too movement, what do you see? Non-people of color. Go ahead.
Now, to say, I also heard about that with the other, the Time's Up movement too. And I was going to say, like, was there? Because I'm not really familiar with it, but I did hear there's a lack of diversity.
There's some. There's Ava DuVernay, I think that's how you say her name. I think Oprah gave some money. There are some black women that have put their money up for it, but it's still a lot less, you know. And unfortunately, statistics show that black women or women of color are harassed more in that industry. And then some of the backlash has been where men have expressed the desire to keep distance from women. They don't know how to react with women, what to do with women. There's companies now that have told their male workers not to travel with women in the same car, don't stay at the same hotel, because what if you're falsely accused? Or just, protect yourself. So now women are going backwards in all the things that they have achieved as far as, reaching the glass ceiling, penetrating that. But because now men are afraid to be around you, because I don't know if you're going to say, if I say something and you perceive it as harassment, I'm going to get, lose my job. So I'd rather not deal with you at all. Me and the boys are going to go to the golf course. You can't go because
and there goes that blacklist.
So there you go.
Exactly.
So now, so it kind of backfires in a way too. So you have to kind of watch that. And then in France, actress Catherine Deneuve, she's a very famous actress, an older lady, but her and 100 French women, they had denounced the hashtag Me Too movement because they had said that they felt it was a witch hunt, that women were just coming out outing guys that necessarily didn't maybe do anything. But the kicker to me was this: they said violence should not be confused with seduction, and that a man should have the right to hit on a woman, to steal a kiss, or send a salacious text. And I said, I think y'all missed the boat. I think y'all missed the boat on that. Something has happened here where you guys. Yeah. So there has been some backlash for the Me Too movement. But I do have another question. When does flirting turn into harassment? I mean, the line between flirting and sexual harassment is often blurred, and which means inappropriate or violent conduct is often minimized or dismissed. And I think they're going to put up a couple slides about some of the things that can be interpreted as harassment or flirting. Smiling at someone, and you guys can just jump in. Somebody giving you a compliment, is that harassment or is that just flirting? Like, you look nice today, or ooh, you look real good.
That's it. That's the way it's said. Right?
Okay, so that's how you say it.
Sounds a little different than, hey.
Okay, but what if they compliment you repeatedly every time they see you?
That's
You look good today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, every day. Or what if they comment on a body part?
Totally out of line.
Yeah.
Make lewd
Especially
jokes.
outward.
What about lewd jokes?
Same.
Yeah.
Making sexual threatening comments like, if you didn't have a boyfriend, you would have trouble walking tomorrow morning.
Wow.
See? And,
Is that flirting?
wow.
Or is that you were like
Wow. Okay. Come on, Carol.
Okay.
Listen.
touching body parts, your behind,
Absolutely.
your breasts, anything like that, like you said, your shoulders, possibly. Getting into someone's personal space. Now, this is a pet peeve. I don't like people that close to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Back it up, brother.
I can tell you, it's bad. It's bad.
You give me that room here.
Everybody has
No
a
too
side.
much, yeah. You have prostate, you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
back up. Making someone uncomfortable with unwanted sexual advances. They might not be doing it on purpose, but they're making that person feel uncomfortable. That can be considered harassment.
Now, I do have an example.
Okay.
So, I'm a recruiter. I was in my 20s, very young, very unexperienced, and it was my first real interview where I was on the other side of the table. So I'm hiring for and maybe industry and occupation has something to do with it. I don't know. But he was coming off of another job to interview for this job. And he said, "You smell good." And I said, "Oh, well, thank you very much. You can have a seat." And I kind of bypassed the comment. Then he says, "So, what are you doing for lunch?" And I'm, "Sir, maybe you don't understand the reason we're here." So I kept going with the interview, and I finally said, "You know what? It's a flat out," because he just kept pursuing, So I shut it down because I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
He could have been clearly qualified, but I couldn't,
Yeah.
in my good conscience, have that, on staff.
Well, we're going to go ahead and take our second break of the show, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what churches can do and what we can do to combat sexual harassment. We'll be right back after these important messages.
Have you heard about New Vision Community Church? We can't keep it a secret any longer. More and more people are hearing about us. Listen, it's not your typical church. The messages are relevant and the people are really friendly. Now that the cat's out of the bag, we hope you'll join us this Sunday at 11 a.m. We'll save you a seat. Join Karen, Layla, and Carol and all their friends. We are looking for a special group of people who are willing to become friends of the show. Your dedicated monthly support will enable the Chit Chat ladies to reach a worldwide audience. You can become a friend today by making a monthly pledge of $25 or more, and you will receive our friend package. That includes a t-shirt, tote bag, and mug. Just go to our website and donate today. We thank you in advance for becoming a friend of the Chit Chat Show. And don't forget to keep the chit in the chat.
Welcome back to the Chit Chat Show. And ladies, we're going to try to wrap it up a little bit, but let's talk about what we as women and what men and maybe even churches can do about sexual harassment. What do you think?
I definitely think it starts with families and raising kids. I so hate the phrase, oh, boys will be boys, or just let them, no, that's wrong. Let them know that they're not supposed to put their hands on anybody. Like, respect yourself and respect others. And, like, that's how they should be raised. And I think if we, as the church, even because sometimes that happens in the church as well, raise our boys to be like that, we wouldn't have all this, you know, accusations and all this type of stuff now. Like, I think it definitely starts with the families, as well as I think we should just hold women and men accountable.
Yes.
I agree.
Just hold them accountable.
I agree. I think teaching and preaching are good tools to use for any generation. You know what I mean? You can go to a church all your life and still learn something from the playbook called the Bible.
Exactly.
Right? And if you find yourself asking a question that you think nobody can answer, just ask God.
Yeah.
That's what I love. That's what I love about my church, and that's what I love about being a Christian, is that there's an answer for every question.
Well, I know here at our church, before we had even started church, my husband and I, who was the pastor, we came up with policies. We put together a sexual harassment policy. We did a code of ethics policy. How do you treat children? We do background checks on people. You have to be a member at the church for 6 months before you can work with children, because sometimes people go from place to place. So I think, you know, churches need to take this stuff seriously too. So, but I think we've exhausted this subject. I mean, we could really go on and on and on. Yes. But I would like to end this show with a last word. And there's two scriptures that I want to talk about. The first one is found in Isaiah chapter 1, verse 17. And it says, learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, and plead the widow's cause. And the second scripture is Matthew 22, 36 through 39. Teacher, which is the great commandment in the law? And he said to him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And a second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Now, we should meditate on these two scriptures to understand how God views harassment in general. And if anyone in our audience would like to chit-chat more on this topic, please hit us up on our Chit Chat Show Facebook page and join our group, the Chit Chatters. And thank you for joining us on our initial Chat Fest show. And make sure that you like and follow us on Facebook and let us know what you think. You can always go to the church's website for more information. Now, we will be taking a break for the summer, so you won't see us again until October. October 20th to be exact. But we will continue our chit chat on our Facebook page within the Chit Chatters group. So don't forget to let your friends know about the Chit Chat show, and always remember to keep the chit in the chat. That was